To live through a violent crime without serious injury might seem like a miracle in itself. But in our next story, the victim of a brutal attack, a racist hate crime, discovers that his survival may have had an even greater purpose. San Francisco, California, 1994. On the night of December 19th, Fidel Joshua and his friend Kevin Murphy were hanging out at a local sports bar.
It was approximately 1:15. I decided to play some music. I saw this young lady put some coins in the jukebox.
Excuse me, how many quarters did you just put in here?
And at that time, a guy that was sitting in the center of the booth jumps up and he says, "What?"
What? What'd you call me?
The racial slur sparked an eruption of violence.
Guys, come on now, ease up.
It was really dumbfounding. I was caught off guard. And just essentially, I was trying to calm everybody down. And in that process, got knocked out pretty quickly.
I realized that I was fighting two people and I was by myself. And I turned around and one of the guys jumped over the bar. And at that time, it dawned on me that my friend wasn't around. So I thought maybe he had stepped out to get some fresh air or something. So I walked out to see if I saw him anywhere in the vicinity.
Fidel wasn't aware of the imminent danger he was in.
I felt something hit me on my side. I thought I was punched, and I turned around, and he stabbed me.
Let's go.
Moments later, Kevin found his friend, partially collapsed in the street.
He's a real big, tough guy, and I could tell just by looking at him that something serious had happened to him.
Officers!
He was kind of fading out right there on the street. You know, you could see the life coming out of him. It's frightening to watch something like that happen.
By the time Fidel was admitted to the hospital, he had lost 22 units of blood and needed massive transfusions. He had been stabbed in the right ventricle of his heart, and his left lung had collapsed. Although his condition was critical, Fidel miraculously recovered.
When I I remember one of the doctors came to me and asked me, do I recall having any afterlife experiences, because I actually flatlined on the table.
Gary Jimenez, inspector of the Night Investigation Unit of the San Francisco Police Department, was in charge of the case.
We received information from a confidential informant that Jonathan Hurst, who was believed to have done the stabbing, was going to flee the state, and that he was working as a bouncer at one of the strip clubs on Market Street. And we started to close in on him. He bolted through the theater lobby and into the females' dressing room. And at that time, we were able to catch him and physically restrain him. He was armed at the time. He did have a knife on him. We believe it was the same knife used in the attack of Mr. Joshua.
Hurst was charged with attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. Rick Foreman, assistant district attorney with the city and county of San Francisco, would prosecute the case.
In my mind, it was a hate crime because it only occurred due to Mr. Hurst's inherent hatred of African Americans. Fidel was a very nice, gregarious, peaceful man, but the individuals seemed determined to hurt Fidel to the point where he may even kill him. If Fidel had not been a black man, this simply would not have occurred.
From what we could find on Jonathan Hurst, especially a search warrant of his apartment, we found a lot of Nazi material showing the connection with the Aryan Brotherhood, white supremacist groups, and other hate material towards blacks and Jewish people.
At the time of the attack, Hurst was on parole, convicted of driving under the influence. His criminal record also included assault and resisting arrest.
Jonathan Hurst is a despicable, cowardly individual who waited until his victim was at a moment of susceptibility before he, like a coward, came out from the dark and plunged a knife into the chest of an innocent man. In my mind, Mr. Hearst is someone who would make Adolf Hitler proud because he is willing to commit such heinous acts only for his own twisted, racist, sad reasons.
But the nightmare of the stabbing did not end with Hearst's arrest. 8 months later, Fidel Joshua and his friend returned to the club for the first time since he'd been attacked and received some astonishing news.
I'm better, man. Thanks.
Good, I'm glad. Can't believe that guy that stabbed you broke out of jail today.
What?
Hey, you haven't heard this all over the news?
No.
Earlier that day, during a recreational break, the vicious assailant managed to scale 2 separate jail fences and subsequently elude a massive manhunt. The news took Fidel by surprise, but what happened next was even more shocking.
We were sitting at the bar and we overheard a conversation.
I just sent that letter to him in jail this morning, right? Then I come home and I turn on the news. And you know whose face I see all over the news? Man, it's Hearst. Can you believe that? He just broke out of jail today. He hopped the fence and he took off, man. He just took off running.
I thought that was extremely weird. So we later decided to follow the guy. And we followed him to his home. And that's where the guy that escaped, that's where he was, and it was the guy that stabbed me.
This staff guy broke out of jail today. I know where he's located. He's back there.
Is he by himself?
He's not by himself. We followed him from a bar. He's not by himself. He's got a couple buddies with him.
Jonathan Hearst must have become aware that the police were surrounding the place.
Police officers, open up!
He fled the apartment before the police could get in the back of the building. They put out the word of that, and he was caught actually nearly a block away by a unit, and seeing him in the area stopped him.
Freeze! Stop right there! Turn around.
He pretty much gave up when the police had stopped him. He did not resist at that time.
Watch your head.
And I was standing there as they placed him in the car, and we definitely made eye contact. From the look on his face, I'm sure he remembered me. It was pretty gratifying to see him in that situation.
Today, Hearst remains locked behind bars, and everyone associated with the case continues to marvel at the miraculous series of events that began the night Fidel Joshua was stabbed.
I think miraculous in the fact that he actually lived. I mean, I don't know too many people who could be stabbed in the heart and survive that.
He's known as a guy with a big heart, and it's kind of funny because, I mean, his heart was kind of what pulled him through. It was miraculous in a way that he managed to get through that.
The fact that I survived the stabbing and to be able to assist in the recapture of his guy, I just think it had to be some kind of divine intervention involved in this.
I have prosecuted more cases than I could possibly count. I have never in my life heard of an occasion where the victim of a crime has assisted in the perpetrator's reapprehension after his escape from custody. It's absolutely amazing.